Okay, go. There we go. So we can do a couple of these. We actually did this one in class. Need to have that on the pen. Right. I did that one in class already, but let's take another one just to do it. Right, so it's 2, maybe 3-step process to do this. Believe it or not, you're going to have to do things in life which require you to do like a few things in a row accurately. So what is the first step? Let me try this one right here. 20. Right. If you have 2 points, what can you do with them? It's pretty much just one thing we can do to start. What thing can you calculate if you know 2 points? Find the slope, right? So, that's all you can really do with it. So find the slope. For these 2 points, right, the m in mx plus b is going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, you could label these, either one, as x2, y2. Does any one of them look like it makes more sense to use as the x2, y2 and the other one for the x1, y1? Understanding that I'm going to be subtracting here, I think I'm going to make this into the x2, y2 and this into the x1, y1 because these are negatives, right? If I don't do that, I'm going to be making negative over negative, which is all the more place where I can make a mistake. We tend to make mistakes with that. So using these as my numbers, remember that it's the change in the y divided by the change in the x. So it is 6 minus negative 2 divided by 2 minus negative 4. What is 6 minus negative 2? 8, right? It's like 6 plus 2, which is 8. And in the denominator, 2 minus negative 4 is going to be 2 plus 4, which is 6. All right, so this is 8 over 6, which is 4/3. Okay, what do you do with the slope? That was step 1. Step 2 is, remember, all we need for slope-intercept form are the slope and the y-intercept. We've got the slope, now we need the y-intercept. So the only question is, how are we going to find it? What are we going to use to find the b? How about y equals mx plus b? Right? That is the equation we're trying to fill. How can I use the slope to find the b? Yeah, plug in the slope for m. That's why you calculated the slope. And then use one of these points. It does not matter which one, right, for the x and the y. And then you can solve for the b. In this problem, just to keep everything positive, I'm going to use the 2, 6. Positive 2, positive 6. So that'll be 6 equals 4/3 times 2 plus b. So the only thing you don't know is the b. Solve for it. This will be 6 equals 8/3 plus b. How do I solve for b? Isolate. Okay, what do I have to do to isolate it? Subtract 8/3, right? Okay, so what is 6 minus 8/3? It's kind of like the worksheet we were just doing. Right, we're subtracting fractions now. So we need a common denominator. Multiply the 6 by 3 over 3. So this thing is going to be 18 over 6 minus 8. Oh, sorry. I said 6. Should have been 3. 18 over 3 minus 8 over 3, which is 10 over 3. Right, so this is the b. This is the m. So what is the equation of a line? y equals 4/3 x plus 10/3. So it's at the very least a two-step process. If you want to count where we plug it in, a third step, then it's a three-step process. Questions? Right? You're going to have to actually sit down and try it. Test will be made up about probably several questions to do this thing. Okay, so that'll move into our lesson then. I mean, so far, you know, we started on that page where you had an equation in slope-intercept form. You had to identify the slope and the y-intercept. The second set of problems, they gave you the slope and the y-intercept, and then you had to plug it into the equation. The third step, you looked at a graph, and from the graph, you came up with the slope and the y-intercept, and you made your equation. The fourth step is what we just did in the homework. Okay, now we're going to learn how to graph. How do you graph when you've got a line which is already in slope-intercept form? And there's three steps here, which are written out very cleanly. Right? The first is plot the y-intercept. So if it's y equals 2x minus 1, the y-intercept is -1. So you go up, you go here, right on -1, and you put a point. Right? Step 2, use the slope to find another point on the line. In this case, the slope is 2. But you need to know how much to go up and down and how much to go left and right. So if it doesn't have a denominator, you're going to have to turn it into something with a denominator. Right? If it's 2/1 is the slope, that means the rise is 2 and the run is 1. You're going to go up 2, right 1. So from this point, up 2, right 1. Draw another point. And then how many points does it take to determine where a line is? 2. You've got them. Connect them with a line. So let's try to do the same thing on this one here. Okay, the y-intercept is, it says y equals -3x plus 4. So first step would be graph the y-intercept, 4, right? And now we need to find another point on the line using what? The slope, right? Now we need to use this, right? Our m is -3, which again, we need to know how much to go up and down and how much to go left and right. So let's write it as -3/1. And what is that telling us to do? Down 3, right 1. Okay, the -3 in the numerator is down. So +1 in the denominator is right. Okay, but from where? From where are you going to go down 3 and right 1? From the y-intercept that we already put there, right? It's not starting at the origin, and it's not a point like -3, 1 or 1, -3. These are directions from this point to go down 3, right 1, draw another point. There's your line. Right? We don't need to make a table of values. Right? That's what we do when we did this as a function rule. We had to make a table of values, plug in a few x values, calculate the y values, plot the points. We don't have to do that now, right? If it's in this form, it should be a pretty quick process. Y-intercept, slope, draw a line. One more. Y equals 4x minus 8. Which point am I going to plot first? Right, this point right there. There's step 1. 0, -8, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's step 1. Step 2 is, right, step 2. This is m equals 4/1. So it's telling us go up and right. From here, up 4, right 1. Draw a line. Okay. Now there's one other kind of problem, and this is where if you're asked for the slope and the y-intercept of an equation which is not in slope-intercept form, then you're going to have to put it in slope-intercept form first so that you can tell those. For example, on this first one, y minus 2 equals negative 3x. What do I have to do to put it in slope-intercept form? Okay, we need to solve for y. In this case, plus 2, plus 2. So what is this going to look like in slope-intercept form? Negative 3x plus 2. Right? These are not like terms, so you can't put them together. Could you have written 2 minus 3x? Yeah, you could have, right? But in order to make it look like mx plus b, I wrote the x term first. Okay, now we can answer the question, what is the slope? M equals negative 3, b equals 2. Okay, now read the directions again. It says, find the slope and the y-intercept of the graph of each equation. Did it ask you to graph? No, so don't graph it. Right? I mean, you got to read the directions. Just because you see the word graph here doesn't necessarily mean that you have to graph it. Right? It just wants you to find these two things here. How about we do this one here? Again, that's not in slope-intercept form. How do we put it in slope-intercept form? Solve for y. How do I solve that one for y? Right? I mean, this gets into those literal equations that we did. When you got more than one variable in an equation, you got to solve for one of the variables. That's why we practice that stuff. Right? So I add 6. 2y equals 3x plus 6. Okay, I still haven't solved for y. Right? What do I have to do to solve for y? Divide by 2, right? Divide by 2. And if I do that, right, divide 2, divide 2, divide 2. Then I've got y equals 3 halves x plus 3. So what is the slope? Slope m equals 3 halves. What is the y-intercept? 3. So if there's one set of problems in the homework is graph. The second is what's the slope and the y-intercept, and it's not in slope-intercept form, so you have to solve for that. So those are the two sets of problems, and next class, again, we're going to have a quiz over all this slope-intercept stuff. It's 3 days on one section. Okay.